This all happened when I was a very young girl. And I'm very elderly now, so it must have been a very, very long time ago. Our little village was being troubled by a predatory beast, which was killing our sheep and some people too. Everyone was afraid and at their wits' end, until a stranger appeared, sorta slunked in from nowhere. We didn't get many, as we were somewhat cut off from the rest of the world. Back then, traveling was wild and dangerous, and our community was pretty much everything. The stranger had a ragged face as if he'd seen quite a lot, and wise eyes and a sharp smile, and a very smooth way with words. He offered to end the slaughtering which plagued us, using an ancient way, though he wouldn't divulge his tricks of the trade until we paid him up front. Although the price was mighty, everyone coughed up. My daddy gave a silver spoon, which was his only thing of true value. That night, the stranger stalked into the woods which encircled us, and the next morning we all gathered bright and early to hear his results. The stranger smiled nice and wide, and bade us to fear not, for he had lain in wait and sliced a clawed finger clean off the beast's mighty hand. It was a simple trick, as old as time. All we had to do, he said gently, was to look to an outsider amongst us who was missing a finger. For even in human form, that digit would stay severed forever, as if cast clean off by God's own wrath. Look not for blood and such, said the stranger, slick and tracely like a preacher, for when I struck out at that foul fiend, my knife castrated like a divine lightning. And sure enough, in the old tavern sat a man none of us knew too well, a drifter named Ed, who slept somewhere out in the woods, but popped into the village from time to time, maybe craving company. Ed sipped obliviously on whiskey, as if it were manna from heaven, and lo, was missing a little finger. He made desperate excuses about losing it in a war some years back, fighting for your ingrate hides, and he roared in anger as many men pounced on top of him, tearing off his clothes to reveal mighty scars looking like marks of Cain. Looks like he's been killing a long, long time, sure enough, people muttered. And we made sure to remember the stranger's strict instructions, for he had already set off whistling merrily to do more of the Lord's work with his payment bouncing over his shoulder in a big fat sack. He bade us to slice the shapeshifter's skin clean off, so he'd never be able to make the dirty transformation into a wolf hide ever again. And damn, if Ed didn't howl just like a wolf when 30 or 40 daggers slid in, then I don't know what in God's name those sounds were.